Good afternoon, everyone. To the many distinguished guests here today, to those joining us from out of town, to Cobourg Council and staff, to our fellow mayors, and of course, our local hero, the Minister of Labour, Mr. David Piccini, and to the Honourable Premier of Ontario, the one and only Mr. Doug Ford. I'd like to welcome you to Cobourg on this slightly overcast but wonderfully not raining day. You see, today we're here because Cobourg is the largest and fastest growing urban centre in Northumberland County. We are a community recognized for our hardworking staff and our forward-thinking council, who combined continue to hit well above our weight in this great province. Cobourg is poised to become the next largest urban centre east of the GTA along the 401 corridor. It's this incredible potential that drove me to move to this community 8 years ago. Now, the Cobourg Community Secondary Plan was established as a significant growth area more than 20 years ago. The 1,400 acres where we currently stand has always held great potential and great promise. But as an oil rigger turned entrepreneur, I know all too well that for potential to become an opportunity, we must first begin with a lot of hard work. In that vein, I will first start by thanking our dedicated town staff. We are here today because of all of you. You have worked diligently for years, doing the groundwork, completing the countless municipal assessments. It's you who put in the hours, understanding our infrastructure needs, mitigating issues, and planning for the future development of this land. Lori, Terry, we are here today because years of your hard work. Thank you. You see, I discovered in my short time as mayor that the Cobourg staff have a long-standing tradition of being exceptionally humble, even by Canadian bureaucratic standards. They won't brag about how they won the FCM 2023 Canadian Institutional Contribution, nor will they mention that Cobourg's achievements were front and center at the G20 U20 in India this past year. Cobourg staff, past and present, strive for a new standard of excellence, and they have a now loud, tenacious, and often obnoxious salesman, making sure that everyone knows just how great they are. I am so proud of the work that you've done, and I'm proud that it is now getting the provincial, national, and international attention it rightly deserves. I am also equally proud of my colleagues on council. You see, agreement on the council floor isn't always a given, but when it comes to the important matters related to Cobourg's growth, that agreement is there and it's solid. I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for our collaboration. Now, when the Ford government released the More Homes Built Faster Act in 2022, Cobourg was poised and ready because of this team. I would be remiss if I didn't send out a very special thanks to the team at Tribute Communities for hosting us here today, for everything you have done and for everything you are bringing to our community. Your investment in Cobourg is received with gratitude, as is your partnership and trust. I would like to personally thank Minister Surma, who couldn't be here today with us. I'd like to say thank you to Kinga for her understanding, her professionalism, and her follow-through. Cobourg is indebted to you on multiple files. Now, speaking of those who have been championed for Cobourg, I would like to once again thank Minister Piccini for his continued hard work, his dedication to this community. David, you know the pulse of our community. You care about our residents, and you are invested in their future well-being. Since day one, you have been an incredible guide, a coworker, a mentor, and even after everything I've put you through, you still take my phone calls and deliver day after day for this community. To the Honourable Mr. Ford, thank you, sir, for your leadership and for the team that you put around your cabinet table. Thank you for opening your door to me and the people of Cobourg when asked to do so by Minister Piccini. You have given us this opportunity today to share our achievements, and you have listened to our challenges, and you have shown us care and compassion as if Cobourg was your hometown. We are grateful for your support, your partnership. We share your vision to strengthen Ontario's economy in keeping with our strategic plan to make Cobourg a thriving community. On behalf of all of Cobourg Council, Cobourg staff, and the Cobourg community, we are honored to have you here today to witness firsthand the growth and progress that is happening in the incredible community of Cobourg. Thank you all for being here today, and without further ado, I would like to invite Minister Piccini to the podium.
Thank you very much, Mayor Cleveland, and thank you to everyone here today. You can't see right now for those watching, but behind the camera are the people that made today happen. Our community is a great one. We've come together. Premier Ford, thank you for being here, for always willing to pick up the phone and answer our calls in rural Ontario. You know, we're on the heels of one of the largest investments at Blommer Chocolate, 80 million Canadian into our community. It's going to support a growing workforce and a growing manufacturing sector under the leadership of this Premier. But all of those great manufacturing jobs require a home, somewhere for those workers to live. And so, Mayor Cleveland, thank you for being so ambitious in your team's efforts here, Cobourg Council and staff who are here today. Thank you for taking an active stake. I've always said we don't want to be part of a society that we passively inherit. We want to be a part of a society we have an active stake in creating. And that's what that's what the team in Cobourg here is doing. And we've got to, because we're a growing community. You know, these communities behind us don't just appear because we wish them to. They appear because there's infrastructure supporting that growth. And this Premier gets that. You know, there was decades where all over our community we were struggling. I think to the water towers, Premier, that we've built here in Port Hope, in Norwood, and all over our community, understanding that these communities don't just appear because we wish them to, but because of that infrastructure that has to go in. But then, when you have that infrastructure, you need men and women who build it. So we've embarked on one of the most ambitious skilled trade strategy in Ontario's history, launching our Level Up Career Fair, bringing back shop class to high schools, bringing mandatory tech classes into K-12, and working so hard with our Skills Development Fund, over $1.4 billion of which have helped people land better training, better jobs with bigger paychecks. That's what we are on a mission to do. I didn't just get elected to sit back, but to take that active stake in a rural community I call home. I'm proud to call home. And here in Cobourg, that's happening. So it's an exciting future in this community. We've got a remarkably growing manufacturing sector, and I want to thank Minister Surma for investment in our community. Today's investment, which you'll hear from the Premier, is one of our largest infrastructure investments in modern history in our community, and it's going to support growing homes. But those homes are brought to life by the people and the families that call them home. You know, there's a distinct decision to be made in Ontario. You can either say no to everything, or, as the Premier's often said, bring me solutions. This community has a remarkable tradition of partnerships, bringing solutions, because our youth, our next generation, want a place to call home, deserve a place to call home. And we're a growing community. And so, again, on behalf of Premier Ford, I want to thank everyone who's here today. Premier, thank you again for being here today. To the first responders who are here today, thank you for keeping our community safe. It's been a remarkable honor working in partnership with you. To the staff, you're always there challenging us at every opportunity. Association of Municipalities of Ontario, picking up the phone, talking about how we chart our growth in our rural community, how we chart that growth out together. So to staff and council, other mayors who have joined us here today, thank you very much. And to the team, a tribute to the tradesmen and women who are here today. Thank you so much. Our utilities partner who are here today, Derek, thank you for being here. Everyone, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time in Ontario. We're going to have a better tomorrow, a stronger tomorrow, and under Premier Ford, we're building a stronger Ontario together. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Premier Ford, over to you for its exciting announcement today.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you. Boy, well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, David, for that introduction. And David's an absolute champion down at Queen's Park, and it's great to be back in beautiful Cobourg alongside Minister Piccini. And before I get started, I want to acknowledge and welcome Mayor Cleveland. You're doing a great job, and the council is as well. I always say I walked a mile in your shoes and the city councilors, and toughest job ever. You're on their front doorstep, and Mayor, thank you for visiting me at Queen's Park. I just want to also welcome Derek and your team from Lakefront Utility Services, and as well as a big thank you to everyone at Tribute Communities for hosting us. You look at this community over there being built, it's second to none. Come here with your family, take a look at some of these homes, and then hopefully you'll buy a home. Again, I want to give a shout out, as David did, to our great fire department here in Cobourg and our police, along with our paramedics. You guys are incredible. I'll always have your backs. It's always a pleasure to visit construction sites just like this one, to see shovels in the ground and homes getting built. Cobourg, like so many communities across the province, is growing fast. And it's never been more important to get more housing built and to bring the dream of home ownership within reach of more people. That's why our government is working closely with Mayor Cleveland, with mayors across the province. I want to acknowledge the rest of the mayors that are here as well, to help municipalities get shovels in the ground for infrastructure projects. That will help build more homes a lot faster and get rid of the red tape and the bureaucracy, and let's get shovels in the ground. In total, we're investing more than $3 billion in housing enabling infrastructure projects. This includes $1.2 billion for Housing Enabling Water System Fund to help local governments develop, repair, rehabilitate, and expand local water infrastructure systems to unlock more housing. Last month, we announced that the first round of investments from this fund, a total of $970 million, will help build more than 500,000 homes across 60 municipalities. And today, I'm thrilled to share that this is a first round of funding, includes up to $25 million for Cobourg to help expand its wastewater system and water mains. So congratulations. What a great job you're doing. This investment will help deliver clean water to Cobourg residents for decades to come. It will kickstart construction projects like the one behind me, boost the local economy, support development of the Cobourg East Community Secondary Plan area, and help build over 2,200 homes. For new graduates, working people, and young families looking to build their future right here in Cobourg. And Mayor Cleveland, we're going to keep working with you and along with your great council, not just to build more housing, but to make sure Cobourg has the infrastructure it needs as it grows. Unlike previous governments that didn't plan for the future, we've embarked on the largest capital expansion in the country's history to support growth in communities right across our province. We're investing nearly $100 billion to improve and expand transportation infrastructure across the province. This includes extending Lakeshore Go further east into Bowmanville and widening sections of Highway 401 to reduce gridlock. We're making record investments in healthcare, long-term care, including 370 new and upgraded beds in Cobourg. In education, we're investing $16 billion to build, repair, and expand schools, including the addition of more than 300 new student and child care spaces right here locally. Friends, we're building the homes, the hospitals, schools, roads, and highways, and other critical infrastructure Cobourg needs to attract investments and new jobs, and to support the region's population growth. We're building the infrastructure that Cobourg needs to reach its full potential. Thank you again for inviting me today, and thank you for everyone joining us, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now go to reporters' questions. Reporters, please line up at the mic behind me. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. This is just a reminder that today's format is one question, one follow-up. First reporter.
Hi, it's Chris Rochelle from the Toronto Star.
Hi, Chris.
I first wanted to ask you about a field trip that was taken by some middle school students at the Toronto District School Board. They were supposed to be going to a rally. It ended up being a political protest, and there are some concerns that they were taking part in this protest. Just wondering what you think hearing those reports, and should the province send in an investigator?
No, I think it's disgraceful. You're trying to indoctrinate our kids They should be in the classroom learning about reading, writing, spelling, arithmetic, the whole shebang. But instead, the TDSB and these teachers want to bring them down to a rally, a Palestinian rally, and it's ridiculous. I've said this indoctrination for years, and I don't want to paint a broad brush for all the teachers, because it's not all the teachers. It's a small minority of teachers, and it's no different in our universities as well. I was just the kids, telling them Ontario's privatizing healthcare and this and that, and I'm thinking, just bad actors that are teaching our kids. Number one, you shouldn't be teaching our kids, but number two, stick with your knitting. Stick with teaching the kids the geography, history, math, spelling. That's what they need. They don't need to be indoctrinated in some protest. It's unacceptable. There needs to be an investigation, and we'll be all over this, and make sure people are held accountable, and they think twice about bringing young little kids without the parents' permission on these school trips. It's disgusting.
I also wanted to ask you about bike lanes and why your government's wading into this municipal issue. You've said that you trust municipalities on housing, so why do you not trust them on bike lanes?
Well, we just want to get traffic moving. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that all forms of transportation moves quickly. And that's what it comes down to. Making sure you aren't putting bike lanes in the middle of some of the busiest streets in the country. Put them on the secondary roads. Like, you believe it or not, my brother Rob actually put more bike lanes in than David Miller, but he didn't do it down the middle of University or Bloor or any of those streets. He did on the secondary arterial roads, side streets. That's what you do. You don't clog up traffic just because of their political beliefs.
Hi there, Lorenda Redekop with
Hi,
CBC
Lorenda.
News. Hi there. On the bike lanes, in those the government internal documents that we have, one of the risks that is pointed to in that advice to your government is that on congestion that not allowing the bike lanes if a lane of traffic has to be taken out, that it actually may not decrease congestion at all.
No, that's a bunch of hogwash. I know the city like the back of my hand. You go down on Hospital Row, University Avenue, paramedics are trying to get someone to the hospital as quickly as possible. They take out a lane of traffic, put bike lanes in there. It's cut down to one. It's jammed like crazy. Go on Bloor Street that they've disrupted all the businesses there. There's a petition just in Etobicoke for 50,000 people signing to get rid of these bike lanes. You might see 4 or 5 bikes as you see traffic lined up all the way down the road for kilometers and kilometers. Talk to our first responders that are pulling their hair out, the fire trucks that can't get across the road because there's barriers or there's bike lanes and they're backed up. Talk to our police that are trying to get to a call, or our paramedics. It's an absolute disaster. It's a nightmare, and we need to focus on transportation routes that get people from point A to point B in as quick fashion, very quick fashion.
Also in those documents, talking about environmental assessments for Highway 413 and the possibility of having a customized process. Are you worried that with that highway that you so badly want built, that it might not pass a regular environmental assessment?
No, not at all. We've been working on this environmental assessment since before Moses. Like, we just keep working and working and working. Let's build the damn highway. There's hundreds of thousands of people stuck in their cars, backed up from here to Timbuktu, and you're worried about a grasshopper jumping across the highway. We need to start building. We're going to start building. Simple as that. The Bradford bypass, 413, Highway 1117 up north, widening Highway 3, anywhere you go, widening 401, east and west, 427, the QEW. Folks, we're the fastest growing region in the entire North America. There's nowhere faster growing than right here in Ontario, the GTHA. We've never seen anything like it. Over 800,000 people arrived last year. I've told this story 100 times. I'll tell it 101. Florida and Texas, fastest growing states in the U.S. The governors love saying we get 1,000 people a day. 365,000 each state gets. Combine those two, we've grown faster. But what we need is to expedite the infrastructure. Make sure that we're building the schools and the highways and the hospitals and the roads and supporting our first responders. That's what we need when we see this growth. And of course, getting companies like Tribute Homes to build more homes a lot quicker. That's what we need to do. We're you know something, when it comes to the economy, we're knocking it out of the park. Every metrics you could think of against any other jurisdiction in North America, we are hammering them. I spoke to 100 people from Minnesota just the other day, and they're in awe, just like the governor of New Jersey or the other governors come here. They can't believe what we're doing here. Just think, last year alone, we saw 136 companies from around the world come here to invest in Ontario. Over $11 billion, over 12,500 jobs were created. I love telling our American friends, last year the Ontario manufacturers created more jobs than all 50 U.S. states combined. We're knocking it out of the park when it comes to creating jobs, economic strength. I get off the phone with my Minister of Economic Development late last night and this morning, and he said, we cannot keep up with the companies that are coming to Ontario. The list is from here to the floor, which is a good thing. And do you know why they're coming? The quality of life and the quality of the people and the 70,000 STEM graduates that are graduating out of our universities and colleges.
Joseph Godin with Classic Rock and My FM. What impact do you see on today's announcement having on the over 1,000 people that are currently on wait lists for affordable housing here in Northumberland County?
Well, first of all, let's just run through a few numbers. When it comes to homeless, we put $2.2 million within this community, and I'll pass it over to the mayor and the minister in a second. And another for the encampments, for the region, we put $2.47 million. And then the Canada Ontario benefits, housing benefits, there's over $200 million. Do you know what the best way to get people be able to get out of the encampments, get out of homeless? Get an application and drop it off one of these companies and start working. You need to start working if you're healthy. Bottom line, if you're unhealthy, I'll take care of you the rest of my life. Your life will take care of you. But if you're healthy, get off your ASS and start working like everyone else is. Very simple.
On the cost of living, one of the things that a lot of folks here in the community are having trouble with is just making ends meet. So many people are going to food banks just to keep food on the table. Comments on that?
Thanks, Joseph, and thanks for the question. I mean, as you heard from the Premier, we've made record investments into our community, the Northumberland County, the social service provider. We've increased our homelessness prevention fund funding, the largest increase in its history. I think if money was the answer alone, we would have solved the problem, but it's not. It's getting wraparound supports. You've got to increase supply. That's what we're doing here. We've made record investments into the affordable housing project, Elgin Park redevelopment. But as the Premier said, it's also about a better job with a bigger paycheck. So it's a cacophony of things that you've got to do with the wraparound supports. But I also think it's about getting real and not supplying people with drugs, which is what the federal government's doing, and weakening the criminal code. I mean, the police here pick up the same people over and over and over again. How many stores get broken into, petty thefts over and over? What about that shopkeeper who now has to replace that pane of glass for the second, third time? What about their rights? What about their ability to just, do what they're due, create their business, and do it in a safe community? The weakening of the criminal code is one of the most damaging things this federal government's done. This Premier is sticking up to it. We've invested in bail reform. We're supporting our men and women and frontline officers, but it's a variety of things that we have to do. There's no one silver bullet.
Yes, Cecilia Naismith, Today's Northumberland. Brookside, that leads me smoothly into this. It's tearing the community apart. I've got a couple of questions, if I may. One, when it began last fall, Infrastructure Ontario or the province or the appropriate body did not authorize the encampment to be cleaned out. Why would that be?
Well, we're going to look into every single tool for other jurisdictions, provincial jurisdictions that people believe they're in camp, they're setting up camp there. And I just believe, again, If they're healthy, they shouldn't be there. They should be out there working, and we will find them housing. And the courts sided with the other folks when Waterloo brought them to court. We're going to challenge that. We're going to challenge that court case, because you can't have people setting up encampments in beautiful neighborhoods. They just can't do it. It destroys the neighborhoods. Do you want to take this one, David? Go ahead.
Infrastructure Ontario could have said, get out, get a job, find other arrangements, but they wouldn't. I'm just wondering why.
No, they couldn't, Cecilia, because of the Waterloo ruling. That's made very clear. There's two different thresholds on Crown land. The legal bar to move someone along from Crown land is very different than private property. And so the province declared that piece of land surplus. I fought for it. We had a vacant MTO patrol yard in Port Hope that was sitting derelict. We had the same thing Brookside, which was looking after 4 or 5 youth when it was built for over 100. So those youth are getting better wraparound supports, I believe, at the McMurtry facility. We then said we were going to dispose of that. We went through the disposition process, which involves Williams Treaty, which involves going to the county and the town for first right of refusal. I know people are frustrated, but they're wondering why it takes long. That's why it takes long, because we have that process. It now has been claimed on the open market. And that's a different threshold and bar. So we've worked with our frontline officers, we've worked with the county, we've worked with the mayor and town, and the best thing I could do as local provincial member is continue with this Premier's plan to dispose of surplus realty that is now getting a return for the taxpayer, and realizing the opportunity to do so many more things. And I think the mayor can elaborate on the vision we have for this particular property, the Port Hope mayor who's here on their piece of property. This is an exciting time to realize the potential of those swaths of land.
Hi, Cecilia. Thank you very much for the question. So I'd like to state that as Cobourg mayor at the lower tier government, we have a bylaw that is an anti-encampment bylaw within the entire jurisdiction of Cobourg. I'd like to say thank you, because it's through IO, it's through the Premier, and it's through the province that we've seen those lands get sold. And the reality is we've heard today that they're planning on fighting the Waterloo ruling. That's their choice. But I think for a local solution, this government did what needed to get done, which is to get that land sold into private hands so that that land can be fall under Cobourg bylaws, and we can do what we need to do to make sure our citizens in this community are protected.
And when might that be, just with the sale completed?
We are in final negotiations, and that's as much as I'm going to say today. Thank you so much.
Hello, Mr. Premier. Jamie with City TV.
Hey, Jamie.
I really want to ask you how much coffee you've had today, but I'm going to regress to just the questions I've made.
I had a couple of green teas. I'll tell you, you know what I did, Jamie? I got my hair cut at the Kingsman, right here on King Street in Cobourg. So you need a good clipper. A guy named Steve over there, what a champion. He has places in Oshawa as well, and Bowmanville. So he's a good guy. But I cleaned up well, didn't I?
Oh. Leamington. Remember Leamington? Anyhow.
Oh, yeah. I'm watching this bee buzz around me here. I'm just waiting for him to come close to me.
Don't eat it. Don't eat it.
Well, okay.
Mr. Premier, no, just seriously now. Michael Ford.
Yes.
We had the message out on Friday.
Yep.
I'm wondering, first of all, my thoughts to Mr. Ford, but also if you want to add any.
No, Michael will be fine. He'll be back shortly. Actually, I talked to Cynthia the other day, but he'll be back. I talk to him every day. But he's doing fine. But thank you.
Thank you. And the second one, serious question also, Bill 7. I can see both sides of the argument here. You've got a family member that's in the hospital. You really want the best care for them, but there's a crowding situation in the hospital. But the other hand is, and I'm just wondering if there was at an emotional level, there's a better solution than the $400 a day fine.
Yeah, well, I'm never in favor of that, but the ALC patients, they're being taken care of much better on a long-term care home than the hospital. Hospital is not the place to drop off your mother or your father. They don't get the care, and they aren't equipped to take care of them like a long-term care home. And we needed bed capacity as well. So they may not get their first choice, but they'll get their second choice, then they'll go on a list to move to their first choice. But just imagine, like how cruel can it be putting an elderly parent, stick them in a hospital bed, with someone beside them, alarms and bells going off all night. They don't get the service, the 4-hour care that they would in long-term care. Long-term care is a home. A hospital is a hospital. And they're great at doing the stuff they're doing, but it's the worst place in the world to drop off an elderly person and stick him in a room at the hospital. Bring him to a real home, a long-term care home, and it frees up the acute care beds for people that really, really need them. So we've moved thousands of people, and there's no one happier than the CEOs of all the hospitals. I've talked to them, and it's the right thing to do for elderly people. Don't just drop them at the doorstep. Do you believe, Jamie, we actually have people that drop their parents off? I just heard another story, and just leave them and walk away. How would you do that? Man, I'd never do that to my parents. Well, no, what we should be doing is finding, and we're doing this, we're finding proper homes in long-term care and transferring them over there. And the families get choices. They get their first, their second, their third choice. You can't always get your first choice. If you get your second or third, then you go on a list and move them up. But sticking your parent in a hospital opposed to a home, a long-term care home, it's night and day. And you want to add to that?
I just want to add, Jamie, to connect it to this announcement, servicing. One of the biggest barriers for Omni's redevelopment here in Cobourg is water and wastewater servicing. So I know, we want a quick 30-second soundbite answer, but it is big picture, and you need the servicing to support the new homes that this Premier's committed to building. They don't, again, just appear. That water and wastewater servicing is going to support a new home to get people the better care that the Premier said they need and deserve, which is alternate level of care, not sitting in a hospital. So I had to make that connection because that's why we're here today, and we're servicing more land, which means more long-term care homes that this Premier's committed to building.
Last reporter.
You need a haircut too, Jamie. No, you do. I'm going to bring you over there. I'll pay for it. I will.
Yeah, question, Premier Francis from CTV.
Hi,
A
Francis.
new report commissioned by nursing agencies found that Canadians are spending $1.5 billion on private nursing agencies, and government like yours are being asked to phase those out. Is that something your government will do?
Well, so that's a Canadian-wide story, 1.5. So let me talk about what we're doing for healthcare, and thank you for the question. Since we've come in office, we've created 3,500 more acute care beds. We're adding another 3,000 acute care beds. These are big, big numbers. We've registered over 80,000 new nurses, 13,000 new doctors. We're building more medical schools that haven't been built in years. We're adding more medical seats. We're building $50 billion worth of hospitals, either new hospitals or additions to hospitals. And I know the minister's all over me for a hospital as well. Those are just some of the areas that we're doing. We're putting in hundreds of millions of dollars to connect 600,000 people to primary care, family docs as well. We're paying for the nurses if they're going to practice outside of the GTHA. We're paying for their education. We're just supporting healthcare like they've never seen before. Over $33 billion more in spending in healthcare than before. Previous government, they were firing nurses. We're hiring nurses. That's the difference. And we're adding more docs right here in Ontario like we've never seen before. But our population growth is just expanding. And we're just trying to keep up with everything with the expansion of our population.
This will be the last question.
Premier, would you support automated cameras for cities to use for enforcement?
That's up to the cities. It's really up to the city. The mayor wants to answer that, or your council, how you feel about it, but that's not my business, the cameras in the cities.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Cobourg. Thanks, everyone. You have a great day. Appreciate you.